everyone, welcome back to the class once again. So today we are going to start with the history, and the first chapter from history we'll discuss, and the topic of our today's class is the revolt of 1857. So according to our syllabus, we'll be discussing two important things from this chapter. First one is the causes of the revolt of 1857, and the second one is the consequences of the revolt of 1857. So let me give you a short background about the coming of Britishers in our country. You know that East India Company came to India and they got the permission of trading. They got the trading rights during the time of the Mughals. Slowly and gradually the Mughal rule started to decline, and that was the time when they got an opportunity to expand their territories in India gradually. So they followed four policies to expand their territories. Number one, by conquest, and you might have heard in the earlier classes also, you were taught. They fought wars. Carnatic wars were fought. They fought with France, Anglo-French War, Anglo-Mysore War, Anglo-Maratha War. So these were the wars they fought, and those territories were brought under their control. Then they fought with some of the local rulers. Anglo-Sikh War also was fought, and then this way slowly and gradually they started to expand their territories in India, but still they were not happy with the rate of expansion, the speed of expansion. Then the second one they followed was subsidiary alliance. It was introduced by Lord Wellesley, and after I'll tell you about subsidiary alliance. And the third one was doctrine of lapse, introduced by Lord Dalhousie. And the fourth one was annexation on the pretext of misgovernment. Annexation on the pretext of misgovernment. So on the basis of misgovernment, Awadh was annexed. So let us without wasting our time, let us come back to the topic. So here we have with our today's topic, revolt of 1857. So causes of the revolt. The first one is given over here, the political cause. The second one is social cause. The third one is religious cause. Then the economic cause and the military cause. So these are the causes. These are the topics which we have to discuss in a class. So let us start with the political cause. Political cause. So within the political cause, I have grouped over here. The first one, subsidiary alliance. The second one is doctrine of lapse. The third one is disrespect to Nana Sahib. Then the disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor. And the fifth one, annexation of Awadh. So we'll discuss all this one by one. So let us discuss with the subsidiary alliance. So these were the main causes. Accordingly, the frustration and the grievances of the Indians broke out in the form of revolt. They had a lot of grievances within them, and slowly and gradually they all were piling up in their heart and mind, and the hardship they were facing under the British rule could not be stopped, and in the year 1857 revolt took place. So what is subsidiary alliance? As I told you, four policies of conquest. First one was expansion. First one, conquest. Wars were fought by them, so that we know. And the subsidiary alliance, this was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley, and he was the Governor General during those period, Lord Wellesley. And accordingly, initially he did not want to interfere in the dealing with the princes of the princely states, but later on his patience broke down, and he introduced a policy which came to be known as subsidiary alliance. That means alliances with the princes. So according to the subsidiary alliance, the Britishers were going to provide help, or we can say they were going to protect the princess or the kingdom by stationing their army in their territory. They will protect. Suppose, for example, the Marathas, they had a fear of attack from other enemies, so they will be provided with military assistance by the Britishers. So in that the Britishers' troops. That means British will keep their troops in their territory, and the cost and they have to bear the expenses of the army. So two important things. Number one, the cost will be borne by the rulers, and number two, whenever they fail to pay the amount, because they need to pay the amount to the Britishers, and if they fail to pay the amount, or they fail to receive the payment on time, then they will annex the territory. Britishers will annex the territory, and according to this alliance, the first ruler who was brought into the policy was Nizam of Hyderabad. So Nizam of Hyderabad was the first to enter into the subsidiary alliances with the British. They were the one to enter into the alliance with the British. So what is the meaning of alliance? Friendship. You know, it is meaning is alliance. So the first ruler who entered into the alliance with the Britishers was Nizam of Hyderabad. So this is all about subsidiary alliance. So this way, many of the territories were brought under the control of the Britishers. Now, the second one is the most important thing. You might have heard in the earlier classes also, doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse. So this was a instrument of annexation. So how did it work? Like this was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, the Governor General of India. He was in hurry. Lord Dalhousie was in hurry to expand the territories as soon as possible. So he formulated this idea. He was the one to bring this instrument into instrument to apply in our territory. So doctrine of lapse. So what actually is doctrine of lapse, and how did it hurt the sentiments of the people? Number one, first of all, we need to know about what is meant by doctrine of lapse. Doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. According to this doctrine, if a ruler of a kingdom, any kingdom, if a ruler of a kingdom died without leaving his natural heir, successor, then the kingdom will automatically pass into the hands of the British. It will pass into the hands of the British. Right of adoption was not permitted, or it need to be approved by the Britishers. So most of the kingdoms were annexed, like Nagpur, Jhansi, Satara, Sambalpur. All these were annexed on the pretext of on the basis of doctrine of lapse. They did not have their own successor. Suppose my son will be my successor. Suppose I don't have a son, so I will not be given the right to adopt a son. According to the Hindu custom, right to adoption is allowed. If I don't have the son, then I can adopt the son. But one thing is there, they will have the right to inherit the property, but they cannot become the ruler. They won't be the king. So that was the thing. So on the basis of doctrine of lapse, we can say that in the year 1848, in the year 1848, Raja of Satara died. His territory was annexed. Then in the year 1853, the Raja of Jhansi died. The Raja of Jhansi, Gangadhar Rao, died. And the Rani of Gangadhar was Rani Lakshmibai. So she was a capable queen, but she was also not allowed to rule. So this way, the kingdoms one by one started passing into the hands of the Britishers. So once a kingdom is annexed, my dear, it is not only the ruler who suffers. It is not that the royal family will suffer. Many people like the nobles, the soldiers, the people working for the king, they all will become jobless, because now there is no kingdom. that has already been passed into the hands of Britishers. So this way, it was not only one family who suffered, it was entire people who depended upon the king. They suffered a lot. So they became frustrated. So they were discontented. They were not satisfied with this system. And many of the rulers, though that time their kingdom was not annexed, but they had a fear in their mind. They had a fear in their mind that today, if not today, then after some days or some years, I have a son, but my son may not have a son, and in that case, my territory will also be annexed by the Britishers. So, on the pretext of, on the basis of doctrine of lapse introduced by Lord Dalhousie, Lord Dalhousie became the Governor General of India in the year 1846. When he became the governor, he was very young that time, and he had introduced this policy of doctrine of lapse. So once again, if a ruler of a particular if any kingdom died without leaving his natural successor of his own, then that kingdom will automatically lapse. Lapse means pass into the hands of the Britishers. That was doctrine of lapse. Now next one we have is disrespect. Disrespect shown to Nana Sahib. So what is this disrespect shown to Nana Sahib? Disrespect was shown to Nana Sahib. So Nana Sahib was the adopted son of Peshwa. Now you might have heard about the word Peshwa. Nana Sahib was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. Peshwa Bajirao II. And Peshwa Bajirao II passed away in the year 1851. He passed away in the year 1851. And then his pension was to be given to the son, Nana Sahib, but Nana Sahib was denied the pension. Nana Sahib was denied the pension on the pretext that he was not the real son of Peshwa Bajirao II. So Peshwa Bajirao II had adopted Nana Sahib, and because of that his pension was stopped. Doesn't matter, but Nana Sahib had inherited huge wealth from his father, so he utilized those wealth in organizing the revolt. So Nana Sahib, and there were a lot of people who respected Nana Sahib, their sentiment was very much hurt. The respect which Nana Sahib got by his people. So when Nana Sahib was treated this way, when his pension was stopped, that hurt the sentiments of its people who supported him and who respected him a lot. So this, when this pension was stopped, this infuriated the masses, the people who supported him, and instigated the people to revolt against the Britishers. So you see here different causes. The kingdoms which were annexed on the pretext of on the basis of doctrinal lapse, their reason is different. The kingdom is annexed. Nana Sahib and his supporters, their reason is different. Nana Sahib is denied the pension. Okay. Now, accordingly, that is disrespect to Nana Sahib. So he was disrespected by the Britishers. That is why he and his other supporters, they were very much frustrated. And then they decided to go for a revolt. So Nana Sahib had inherited a huge wealth from his father. So he utilized that wealth in order to organize the revolt. Now the fourth one is disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. Disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. Disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. Now we'll be discussing about disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar. So as you all know that Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal emperor. He was the last Mughal emperor. So the history of Mughals, you all know it. Babur was the one who founded the Mughal empire, and after that Humayun, and this way it went on. And after Bahadur Shah also many were there, but they were not given the they were not permitted to use the titles of a king or queen. So the last Mughal emperor, who also was known as later Mughals, the last Mughal emperor Bahadur Shah Zafar, he ruled for 20 years. Bahadur Shah Zafar ruled for 20 years from 1837 to 1857. 1837 to 1857. So this Bahadur Shah Zafar ruled from 1837 to 1857. So you can easily remember 20 years. So he was highly respected by the people of his time. The Muslims respected him a lot. So in 1849, just listen to me properly. Just listen to me. So in 1849, Lord Dalhousie announced that, a big announcement. In 1849, Lord Dalhousie announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah Zafar, would not be permitted to use the Red Fort as their palace. Red Fort, Lal Killa in Delhi, you know, you might have gone many times over there. So that was not allowed. So it is simply mentioned that the successors of Bahadur Shah would not be allowed. That means the successors would not be permitted to use the Red Fort as their palace. They have to go outside the Qutub area. They have to go and settle down in a Qutub area. Number one, successors of Bahadur Shah were not allowed to use the palace, Red Fort, as their palace. Number one, 1849. Number one, this had hurt the sentiments of the people at large. And then in 1856, Lord Canning. Again, you must keep this name in memory. Lord Canning. Before one was Lord Dalhousie, who announced that the successors of Bahadur Shah would not be allowed to use the Red Fort as their palace. And then again the next Governor General, Lord Canning, he came up with the announcement that after the death of Mughal Emperor, the successors would not be permitted to use the imperial title, like Mughal Badshah, the Mughal Emperor, the title Emperor. Bahadur Shah Zafar, the Mughal Emperor, the title is Emperor. Those type of titles, imperial title, were all abolished. So it was announced that the successors would not be permitted to use the imperial title and dignities to their names. They cannot use their titles and imperial titles with their name. Simple. Bahadur Shah Zafar, the Mughal Emperor, that is okay. But after him, his son cannot use the title of a Badshah. Mughal Badshah, Mughal Emperor, no titles. So that is why Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal Emperor. So this two announcements brought by Lord Dalhousie in the year 1849 and in 1856 by Lord Canning hurt the sentiments of the Muslims. At large. So, and not only that, even disrespect was shown by British. Okay, what was that? These two things I discussed. Disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar, two announcements. And the last one, Zeenat Mahal. Again, you might have heard this name. Zeenat Mahal, wife of Bahadur Shah, began to conspire against the British after this decision. So when this announcement was done, then Zeenat Mahal, the wife of Bahadur Shah Zafar, began to conspire against the British after this. That means she started to conspire and she started to prepare for a revolt, and she was supported by the Muslims at large. Muslims really respect this last Mughal emperor, and their sentiment was very much hurt. So this is all about the revolt, the causes. You can say the revolt did not blast all at once. Result did not broke all at once. So different many more causes are there. I don't think I'll be able to complete today. So Many more causes are there. So one by one we'll try to discuss it. Okay. So Bahadur Shah Zafar, the last Mughal emperor, was disrespected. So this one, subsidiary alliance, doctrine of lapse, disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah Zafar, and then the last one, annexation of Awadh. Annexation of Awadh. Awadh, we can say that the Nawab of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah. The Nawab of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah, he was very, very loyal to the British. And Awadh had signed number of treaties with the British, and the relation was very good. He was very loyal to the Britishers. But Lord Dalhousie, he was in hurry to annex Awadh even. Lord Dalhousie was very much in hurry to annex. When he was planning to annex Awadh, at that time he asked permission from the British government. British government said, no, we cannot do this because Awadh Nawab is very, very loyal to us. How can we treat this way? We cannot do this. Then Lord Dalhousie even was not satisfied with this. So he took out a plan. He spread a rumor. That Awadh is not properly governed. So on the pretext of misgovernment, just for a better administration to be given to Awadh, he annexed Awadh. So it was not simply annexing Awadh, my dear, but the people who all suffered due to the annexation of Awadh, you cannot imagine. That also I'll tell you. So Awadh was annexed. Nawab Wajid Ali Shah, who was very, very loyal to the Britishers, his territory, Awadh, was also annexed on the pretext of misgovernment. Annexation of Awadh on the pretext of misgovernment. So this way Awadh also was annexed, and we'll discuss annexation of Awadh when we discuss about military causes. Here also we'll discuss the same topic. So how it is related, we'll discuss later on. So this is all about the political causes of the revolt of 1857. Subsidiary alliance introduced by Lord Wellesley. Doctrine of lapse introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Then Nana Sahib, he was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. And then Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was the last Mughal emperor. And Awadh, Nawab Wajid Ali Shah was the Nawab of Awadh, and Awadh was annexed on the pretext of misgovernment. So let us end our class today. Okay, so next time, most probably I'll make next tutorial very soon, and within this week I'll upload the next tutorial, so you don't have to wait for another week. So I'll do it in this week only. And the next class will discuss about social and religious causes, economic causes, and the military causes. Okay, and after this we'll discuss the consequences of the revolt of 1857. So till the time, complete your work, and I hope you all have started writing the question and answers in your copy. So we'll meet again in the next class. So till then, take care. Bye bye.